Hi, I'm Steve Grob. I'm the founder of Vision 57, a capital markets technology consulting firm. Thanks for tuning in. And today we're talking about a really interesting combination or collaboration between Rapid Addition and ipushpull. The reason that it really got on my radar was because it seemed to resonate with so many of the problems that our industry is grappling with at the minute. And the center villain in the piece, as always, is data. And how do you get it in the right format, the right way, at the right place, at the right time? And as data continues to explode in our industry, that's going to become a bigger and bigger problem. And so this struck me as some really fresh thinking about how to solve a problem that our industry has had almost since its inception. Before we get into the sort of juicy bits, let me just ask you guys to introduce yourselves, perhaps Dan, starting with you.
Sure. Hi all. Thanks, Steve. My name's Dan Eccleston. I'm co-founder of ipushpull. We're an omni-channel data sharing and workflow platform. So that means we enable customers to send and receive data over many different platforms, including many chat platforms. We standardize those messages, and then uniquely we're able to give our customers the ability to build workflows on top of that data as well. So that's it in a nutshell.
And Mike?
Yeah, hi everyone. Mike Powell. I'm the CEO at Rapid Addition, and we're a trading technology specialist company. So we provide software platform and hardware acceleration to really simplify and accelerate the deployment of customer-defined trading workflow in their IP.
Let's just start with, how did you guys know each other before you started working on this, or how did you in which bar did you meet, as it were, in terms of how you came to get together?
Well, I'll take that one. I think so. I met Matt Chung, who's the CEO of ipushpull and Dan's colleague, actually through a mutual client who was kind of working with both of our technologies, and that was actually probably the kind of spark of the conversation between our two firms. And I think as we get to know each other more and about what we do, we saw this sort of quite a natural synergy kind of emerging between the two technologies, and we thought of there could be good collaboration here, and that was also encouraged by the mutual clients as well.
And what you've got is one of the core products you have is RA Monitor, which is sitting there just understanding everything that's going on. And
yes,
I think the idea was then to see how ipushpull could wrap itself around that and add some extra value. Was that roughly the idea?
Yeah, that's right, Steve. So, I mean, if you look at what Rapid Addition does, we build core electronic trading infrastructure and build workflow on top of that. So obviously you've got, orders, trades, executions, confirmations flowing across that platform, a whole set of key data and information. And part of that offering is a real-time monitoring platform that sits alongside the underlying hub, which allows you to see all of that data in real time through web UI, which you can define to see aggregate levels of where in real time where your orders are, where your trades are, whether you're getting rejects and so on. And then also layer on top of that various things like risk limits, other notifications, and so on. So really sort of important information for traders and trading support teams. And that effectively comes up in a web UI based on the user's PC monitor. And I guess the discussion with ipushpull is, what more could we do with that data? How could we make it more usable, get it to the right people quicker, better format, more succinctly? So that was really the genesis of the conversation.
And so what, if you were to pick the story up, Dan, from there, what was it that you thought or your colleagues felt would enable you to solve a bigger problem by working with Rapid Addition?
It was a bit of a no-brainer for us because it's a well-defined problem and a well-defined kind of roadmap in terms of a system we'd already delivered. So the opportunity was there that really Mike was hoping to use other ways of getting information out in front of end users, and that's exactly what we do and we were already doing for the mutual customer. So quite an easy one to jump on and say 2 and 2 is going to make 5 here. Both systems pretty well defined, no technical hurdle at all really to deal with. So that was the problem itself is a common problem that we see and we solve for. So it wasn't anything particularly new from a generic respect, but a great opportunity to work with a good partner.
And just digging into, you said this was a fairly typical business use case for you guys. Could you just maybe unpick that a little bit, Dan, and say what is that, if you can, what is that sort of generic use case?
No, it boils down to the benefits of this omni-channel approach in that there's many systems out there that have very, very useful ways of interacting with end users, right? Whether that be screens or data or APIs. But, the old desktop real estate, it's difficult to cut into what and be relevant and be upfront on that desktop for clients all the time. Clients more and more, what are they doing? They're living in some core workflow tools. That might be a chat platform, might be 2 chat platforms. Email's still there in the background. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more on mobile than they used to if they're away from the desk. Maybe living in spreadsheets, as always, many operational areas and front office. So what we do in that common problem is to say, right, well, here's some real data you need to get in front of the user, but if they're not looking at the screen, they're going to miss it, and that's the danger. So how do you get it in front of them? Often it's not one thing, it's not one solution. You need a choice. Yeah, so that's what we offer. We offer that choice. We have to deliver it into more and more something like Microsoft Teams, or maybe it's a little bit more WhatsApp, or maybe it's an email as well. And so giving that opportunity to send out critical information and make sure the end user sees it.
And it's being able to see the trees in the woods almost, isn't it? It's the opposite of that cliche of just getting the one tree I'm interested in delivered to me at the right point in time.
Exactly, and it's the high profile nudge to say you need to go and look at your Rapid Edition screen because it's up there, but you hadn't noticed because you were dealing with something else at that time, and
And one of the other things I was sort of wondering about as a question for both of you guys is, when people talk about alerts and everything, obviously they're risk alerts. Oh my gosh, something's blown up, is going to blow up, has blown up, what have you. But it strikes me that this sort of technology could be used in a sort of positive way, if you like, to pinpoint and send data that could make me as a trader do a better job for my client, either because I can ring him up and thank him for an order that's just come in, or to monitor. Are you thinking in those sorts of lines yourselves, or how do you see the other side of the coin, I guess?
Yeah, definitely, Steve. I mean, I think as Dan alluded to, in the initial use case, and we do think there's a lot of broader applicability here of the 2 technologies. But looking at the initial use case, if you think who's using our monitor capability, it's typically traders or trading support, right? So they're obviously trying to keep on top of huge flows of, electronic trading is going to be huge flows of orders, all happening extremely quickly. So how do you keep on top of that data? So we can generate alerts and notifications through the platform, but they'll come up in the screen. And as Dan said, if you're multitasking, if you're away from your desk, if you're a trader and you're working an order for a client because you're doing some high touch stuff as well, you're not focused on that. So what are those alerts? As you said, typically it can be things like, you've either got like system checks or business checks. So it could be a drop session or you breached a risk limit. And those, as you said, they're kind of like a sort of, that's a bit negative, is sort of danger thing.
But you still need to know them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like super critical, right? And a lot of this is about productivity and allowing you to super serve your clients and be really responsive to your clients' needs. But actually, it can go a lot further than that, because effectively we can push up any data that's flowing across the platform, plus kind of bespoke calculations and things that the platform will do. So it could be, I'm a trader and a large order's come in. So it hasn't breached the limit, but it's a strategic client and they've just placed a large order. You might want to know about that. You want to keep an eye on the execution. It's a key client for you. You want to get one of your traders focused on managing that order. It could be that you've got an algo that sets some price and volume limits. And as some of those child orders are starting to get executed, while you haven't yet breached the limit, that you're kind of touching those thresholds.
Right.
And the trader, you're thinking, look, there's danger this doesn't get executed. So actually, I'm going to call the client up and say, well, can we look at this in a different way? Can we maybe push some to our dark pool, or can I get one of my high touch guys to help you execute this important thing? So I think it's all about responsiveness, being more efficient, securing execution. It's all around productivity and just making sure that I'm not, everybody multitasks. No one's sitting there watching, thousands of updates a minute flashing away in front of them and being to keep on top of that data. So hence the notifications and alert stuff that we can generate, but making sure that hits the primary communication channels and they don't miss it is a really big deal.
I guess given the changes in the human dimension of our workforce, I read somewhere the other day that 40% of decisions made in our industry now are taken by millennials. Their expectations of what they're expecting technology to do for them it would seem to me, is going to make these types of systems massively kind of almost table stakes for businesses that want to operate today and in the future. I just wondered what thoughts you guys had on that, and related to that, the importance or role or otherwise of standards in all of this.
If I can answer the first bit. I think that, there is an increasing demand to make technology work harder, because the younger generation know the possibilities. They know the art of the possible with it, and are used to configuring technology to help them in all sorts of ways, right? So you bring that into the workplace, you need high configurability, fairly easy to use technology. So that's a really important part of where ipushpull came from, and what we're trying to be is to almost make the technology itself be proactive, so that the person on the desk, the end user, can actually be much more efficient by effectively being more reactive. So, we've got these assistants all over the place that are pre-configured to help them out and let them know something's going on. So, as a trader or a broker, that can save a huge amount of time and increase your efficiency, but massively improve your client service. Right back to the use case Mike mentioned earlier, where a big order comes in, but you missed it. Right, missed the trade opportunity because you weren't looking at the screen at the right time. Make sure it gets to the right place with the right message, and suddenly that opportunity's back in play. So I think definitely from a demand perspective and the way the landscape's changing, using technology in that way is going to be huge and just get huge. And we're not going to touch on AI much in this conversation, but you can see that starting to add to that level of benefit that people are going to be expecting from technology in the next few years.
I got a great message the other day from someone on that. It said, I want my AI to do the washing and cooking for me so I can do writing, pictures and the creative stuff. And that's kind of the thing, isn't it? But so, and Mike, just quickly on the standards thing, I mean, Rapid has been at the forefront, not just of Fix and others. So they're clearly important for you. So where does that fit in this sort of multi-vendor, contemporary millennial setup?
Ultimately it comes down to how seamlessly you can automate these processes, right? And yes, there's standards in financial services, but there's lots of them, right? So as you said, even Fix, there's multiple versions of Fix in use, so sort of kind of custom messages around that. But there's multiple other protocols. You've got sort of native exchange binary protocols, SBE, Kafka, you name it, right? Both platforms are effectively API-driven open protocol platforms. So what that means is we can consume pretty much any data in any format, and then normalize that into the user's format of choice, and then kind of working between the two platforms, then also distribute that on the channel of choice. So, I guess we like to think we're sort of a bit more modern technology. We're lucky, some of the sort of like older big monolithic technologies up there were great in their day, but the technology wasn't available then. We're built on more kind of modern standards that with kind of interoperability and integration effectively at the heart of everything we do. And that's what's helping solve these challenges, because as you started the call with, data comes in many formats. It's one of the big issues. You touched on AI there. If you want AI to really work, it has to be trained on great data, but bringing that data together in the right format so you can mine it, you can apply machine learning to that data is fundamental to where we need to get to. So, I think effectively what we're doing is, yes, there are standards, but we can bring multiple standards together with the help of ipushpull. A lot of stuff that we do is very structured data, but ipushpull can bring unstructured data into that conversation so they can enrich those messages that are going out to their end client. And hence why it comes back to the point, we think it's a very natural extension of what we're doing and a very natural partnership, because it's all around dealing with huge amounts of information and then picking the really critical bits of that information and enhancing them and getting it to the right person at the right time.
And I think that's probably quite a good note to end on, because that sums up exactly why I think this is such an exciting combination. And I know we'll be reading a bit more about some other implementations that you're both doing, I guess sometime in the summer, if we ever have one, that is. And, we should definitely catch up again, talk through where we think some of this stuff's going. But in the meantime, Dan and Mike, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.